Everyone. Going to get started with the public safety meeting this evening for April. My name is Lisa Dorsey, and I am accompanied by Nicole Shimoni and Brian McGinnis. Calling the meeting to order at 6:01. Any announcements? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items not on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to reports. The Westchester Fire Department.
Good evening, Greg Whitmer, Assistant Chief, on behalf of Mark Scanlon, Fire Chief, who's currently out of town. Our report was submitted, so that should be part of your attachments. The department responded to 130 incidents for the month of March, 52 incidents being within the borough. False fire alarms, I know that's always a question we come up with. So there's 31 false fire alarms within the borough, which is consistent with the previous months that we had. There was one small commercial dryer fire, which was contained to the appliance next door here at the Gay Street Plaza. That was the only incident of significance within the borough. Outside the borough, the department did respond to several brush fires in the month due to the dry and windy conditions. We did previously report on our medical physical program. That has started. It's been well received by our volunteers with strong participation. So that continues to make good progress. And then finally, the ladder truck does remain out of service. The chassis was scheduled to be returned to the main repair shop this week. Once that's returned, the cab will be remounted and the work on the engine and transmission will take place. So that is our report, pending any questions.
Anyone else? Okay, thank
you.
you. Moving on to the Westchester Police Department, Chief.
Hello, Josh Lee. I'm the police chief. I will get to the report. Go Phillies. I'm disappointed to announce that the Phillies blew a game last night that they very well should have won, but they did not. But moving right along to crimes, in addition to that loss, everything looks typical there, except for we'll see the first column. We'll see, unfortunately, an attempted homicide that we responded to. Other than that attempted homicide, crimes are tracking as I would expect. Burglaries are down. They've been down consistently now for the last 3-4 months since we apprehended the burglar that was responsible for dozens of burglaries in the borough. If we move to the next slide.
Wait, can I ask a question on the other slide?
Sure. Yep.
I thought that was a spike. That we don't have the mental health professional yet, right?
Do not. They have a start date of mid to late May.
So have we just started tracking that more, or what?
No. Sorry, can we go back, Jeff? So mental health went from from last month we had, I think, 7 or 8. It's at 20. Again, they're small numbers and it doubled. I don't have an explanation for that other than we're at 20. I am eager to get started in about a month from now with our new employee and get that person rolling, but I don't have an explanation for you for that. If that was your question, I'm sorry. But if we dig in on, just to give you, since that attempted homicide is noteworthy, on March 21st at 9 a.m., officers were dispatched to an apartment complex for the report of a domestic dispute and domestic assault. The officers arrived and immediately were met by the subject of that domestic, who struggled with officers and was arrested, taken into custody after multiple officers had to assist. Those officers, without injury, were able to bring both the suspect back to the police station. He was processed on charges relating to resisting arrest and assaulting those officers. Again, no injuries involved there. It wasn't until after investigating, watching video, that we discovered that suspect attempted to stab a relative of his in a common area of this apartment complex. And then after consultation with the district attorney, those charges were upgraded to an attempted homicide because of the stabbing attempt. So that's why we see that here. Fortunately, there was no serious injury. Fortunately, there was no serious injury, but nonetheless, you'll see that homicide bump that we're going to see that on the reports. to give you an update, actually, before I get into the updates, last month I almost let it slip. I was very excited to make an announcement in relation to our K-9 unit. I almost let it slip. I didn't, but happy to say now that last week we received funding from the Westchester Exchange Club. The Westchester Exchange Club bought and paid for a ballistic vest for K-9 Odin that came in at a cost of almost $5,000. They were gracious to donate that. We accepted that at their meeting last month, and Odin is very happy for it. And like the members of the club say, and like we say, hopefully that vest is never tested. But we're certainly grateful to the Exchange Club of Westchester for donating that to our K-9 unit. So I wanted to thank them publicly. Second, I'm happy to announce, it's not here, but I shouldn't say I'm happy to announce, but proud to announce, in addition to being the chief of police, I also sit on the board at the Crime Victim Center of Chester County. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And what that means is just exactly what it says. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We struggle with sexual assaults. You'll see every month. That's a line that I wish was a 0, but it almost never is. I encourage everybody that's here watching or listening to at least visit the CVC's website, learn more about what the CVC does. I'm so proud to say that I'm on the board there, and I'm so proud of the work that they do for residents and victims within Chester County. So I wanted to take the time here to mention that too. Now rolling back into the report. The social worker has been hired. Their start date is, like I said, mid to late May. At next meeting, I'll be happy to introduce you to that person, maybe not in person, but to give you that person's bio, to tell you a little bit more about what that person will be doing a little soon now. But this time next month, I'll be happy to have more information there. We're also testing for the position of police officer. We're in the process of the interview portion of the testing. That interview portion will be finished next week. And then civil service will be guiding that process through with interviews with the mayor. And I'm hoping to come to you in June at the work session with 2 candidates' names for your approval for the mayor to hire. So that's exciting too.
Remind me again how many applicants we had and how many actually showed up?
I'll tell you where we are now. Out of the 130-ish that applied, a little over half showed up. We're dwindled, I guess would be the word, dwindled down now to 26 that will receive oral exams. Hopefully all 26 move to that next phase, and the mayor is able to choose out of that pool.
26 to interview is still pretty good. So
It's better than
nice.
20, but not as good as 30. If we move on to noise complaints, this graph here shows, excuse me, the total number of noise complaints for the month in March, and there were 35. The largest portion, as is normal, the largest portion is that black portion, which represents the Southeast. We move to the next slide. 5 citations were issued. 5 criminal citations were issued for noise violation in the Southeast. 1 was issued for East Bradford Township. We move to the next slide. All 5 of those citations that were issued to residences in the borough were forwarded up to our building and housing department for them to do their thing. And you're familiar with that process. And that's all I have for this part of the report. Thank you.
Okay. We will move on to Good Fellowship.
Good evening, Justin Robbins, Good Fellowship Ambulance. So for the month of March, Good Fellowship responded to 645 dispatch emergencies. 208 of them were here in the borough. You scroll down just a little bit, you see that we were busy on our weekends, and we are seeing an uptick in calls around that 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. time frame. Nothing here out of the normal. If you go down though, this last page, I did want to point out, it actually lines up with our partners over there at the police department. Our number 2 most dispatched emergency, unfortunately, in the month of March was emotional disorder. So we also saw an uptick in those mental health calls in March. So sick person remaining number 1 this weather. Everybody's been sick, but emotional disorders did climb up our list to be the second most common dispatch.
Why don't we take note? Well, yours, we always see the chart and we see the prior month. I'll be curious to see if this is a trend or, if there's something going on.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And no theme.
No theme to it. The only other thing outside my report that I wanted to share is we did just select a date for our annual open house. It's going to be May 20th this year, 5 p.m. So hope to see everybody in attendance for that. Other than that, entertain any questions.
I don't have any. Okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much. Any comments?
I just have a quick question for you just about reading these codes. What's the difference between ALS and BLS?
So ALS is advanced life support, so that's when you get a paramedic, and BLS is a basic life support, so you get your EMTs on that. So basically, when you call 911, they ask you a bunch of calls, a bunch of questions. They call it interrogating, and they decide what level of service gets dispatched to your emergency.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, moving on to old business. Approve the March 2025 meeting minutes. Brian, you good? Okay. 5B, discuss Westchester University and Westchester Borough matters.
Just a couple of highlights there. We did meet and discuss and build relationships with the facilities and maintenance division and transportation personnel of Westchester University. So I found that conversation to be very helpful and to understand, how things get done and who to contact, which is part of this group. I know, I agree with the mayor on this point that this is a group that meets to get things done and to troubleshoot and build the relationships between people who have executive decision-making power at the elected and administrative levels between the universities. So I want to keep working with, I think it's a good investment of our time. The other thing to be aware of is that the university submitted their comprehensive master plan, which is a plan for the next 15 years of building development, where housing is going to be, where new educational facilities are going to be in both East Bradford, West Goshen, and Westchester Borough. And under our zoning ordinance, that has to be approved by the borough. And in order to get a good, thorough review from the borough, the applicant has extended the time for us to submit that to be responsive to August. So we do have time, and we are in the process of planning that out and getting that teed up for the Planning Commission. So look for that document to be posted soon if you want to see what the university's planning over the next 10, 15 years for facilities and housing and instructional space.
Thank you. Any comments?
I thought we also had a good conversation with them regarding their shuttle bus system, and that we were going to they showed us a really interesting report on the bus system that they have available to the students and where they're going and what they're riding. And that most of the students use the bus that goes down to South Campus, either because they live there or maybe they park there, I don't know. But that was the big piece. And then and some other routes that they have that go around town and or to the grocery stores and such. And we talked to them about kicking that over to our transportation committee and looking at that and seeing where, there's something maybe we could work together on or learn something from, as we continue to talk about transportation across the borough and the things that our residents need. So I thought that was a good conversation too.
Any other comments? Okay, we will move on to 5C and discuss the crosswalk safety at the intersection of Bradford Avenue and West Gay Street. I don't see Kelly, but we did get an update on the study.
Yeah, we have been corresponding, myself, the chair of the committee, and the traffic engineer for the borough, Remington Vernick, which is through Kelly Goff. I've been talking about improvements that can be done at that intersection. So far, we haven't spent a lot of money of her in her time to study anything yet. We did find out that East Bradford had looked at the intersection before with their traffic engineer, which is Pannoni. We have their recommendations in hand, and we also have explored looking at applying to PennDOT to get a school zone speed limit zone in that area, get the speed reduced in that zone. There's a process to go through for that that would require a little extra input from our traffic engineer. So I say all that to say we don't have to do a whole lot here. I think what I'd like to do next week is get this information compiled, get it in front of council, and get a recommendation like we agreed on whenever we were going to study certain intersections in the borough. Get council's okay to direct administration, make this a priority, make this an area of priority. We have an idea of what we want to do. We have things we can do in the short term with paint and with signs very easily. And then we can invest a little bit of money to supply the data that PennDOT would need to allow us to put a school zone speed sign up. The other solution would be to approach the school district about a crossing guard, and that would have to be a partnership. I haven't looked into who I would need to talk to at the school district to do that. So we've made some progress since we met last month. You saw some of that interaction back and forth, at least Lisa did. And would appreciate some comment on some ideas on this tonight from the committee and from anyone in attendance. But I would ask the committee make a recommendation to the work session to direct the staff to investigate this intersection with the traffic engineer, because it will involve us spending a little bit of money to explore that school zone issue.
And do you have an estimate of that cost?
I don't, but my gut tells me it's probably in the range of $1,000 to $3,000. So that sounds a lot to my, in-home budget, but to getting a traffic engineer at $175 an hour to do work, that's a reasonable amount of.
And I think there was still at least one outstanding item with Kelly and a response from PennDOT around they used to provide some signage for free. And there are certain criteria that has to be met. And we're waiting for that response. As of last night, she was waiting for a response from PennDOT. Okay. Any comments from council? Any comments from the audience?
Kyle Hudson, 2022 Baptiste Lane. Just an update. I think yesterday or 2 days ago, one of the parents was almost hit by one of the craft buses, and she got pictures of it and is following up with them directly. And I told her that she should email you guys, but that was a bus it wasn't, from what she told me today, it wasn't a school, like a Westchester school bus. It was a different municipality school bus, but she has pictures and she has the exact bus number. And so this is an incident that happened 2 days ago. So just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Is this your assistant, Kyle?
Yes, this is my assistant.
Any other comments? Okay. All right, moving on to new business.
Do we need to do something for you though, Sean?
Yeah, would the committee agree to put this on next week's work session to direct staff to direct the traffic engineer to look at this particular intersection? That's all I need. All I'm looking for is consensus from council as a whole, where to direct our efforts when we're focusing on intersections. That way I'm not chasing 7 different directions at once.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now moving on to 6A, discuss Good Fellowship Ambulance Company Municipal Advisory Board and appointments.
Good evening, Chaz Bergen. I'm the Executive Director from Good Fellowship. Tonight I want to introduce our Municipal Advisory Board that was created by our Board of Directors in January. So the concept behind this is actually something we've discussed for several years. And really it stems from the EMS funding crisis. All of you know that we rely more on our municipalities today than ever to offset the losses. Global issue, nationwide issue we're trying to solve. Today, Good Fellowship takes in over $600,000 split between 10 municipalities. Walking into next year, that number is probably going to climb to over $1 million. And that's something we introduced to all the municipalities back in February. We're also in year 3 of a 3-year contract. So we will be approaching the borough in the next 60 days to start contracts for 2026 and going forward. So part of this is we thought it beneficial to the municipalities to create an advisory body that advises and makes recommendations to our board of directors. It gives the opportunity for municipality to have a little more oversight and see more of the day-to-day inner workings, especially around financials. We thought that was important to be transparent as possible to understand where the money's going. So this body is strictly advise and recommend. And the chair of this advisory board would report to our board of directors. So that's the concept we're proposing. We're hoping to have participation from all 10 of our municipalities. The ask is for each municipality to nominate a primary representative and an alternate. We would like one or the other to be an elected official. The other one certainly could be a staff member. That's completely fine. But just something that the municipalities have a body to advise, recommend our board of directors on some of the challenges that we face. So happy to answer any questions you have on that.
I don't have any questions at this time. I believe we will have questions.
Yep.
If not at the work session, but next month. I believe we want to do a little more review
Yep.
of this proposal and what the commitment really is. Any other comments from council?
I don't have any.
So, Mr. Metric, would we
Just tabling this item to next month. Just in full transparency, I've been having conversations at a staff level with other managers that are in Good Fellowship service area with legal counsel. We actually, some of those municipalities share the same legal counsel. So now we get to fight over who pays the bill. Because we've had some questions, and I think that once we have a follow-up conversation and I get back to that email chain, it might be appropriate, Mr. President, to have an executive session at some point to get that legal counsel out. And so you all can make an informed decision. And I think May is an appropriate amount of time to do that in.
Agreed. Any questions? Okay, so we'll table this till May, Jazz.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to item number B, motion to approve special events applications.
Yes, Keith Karowski here with the Parks and Rec Department. Sorry I can't be there in person, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have regarding the 4 special event applications in front of you. Item 1 is, I believe there are members there from the Jitters group that would speak to the event specifically, but the event has been reviewed by the Parks and Rec Department and the Police Department. There are no questions at this particular time. They will be using the space in front of them on Gay Street during the first night of the Gay Street closure or the open air market for this event. It will be fenced in. It will be policed by 2 officers. And the reason it will be fenced in is because there will be 2 additional bars added to the outside street area. Are there any questions in regards to number 1?
I don't have any.
Item 2. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was walking past one of the stores in town today and they had a T-shirt in the window that said, "It's not a good day to be a hot dog." And I think somebody needs to wear that at this event. So
I'm sure they will be. Item 2 is the annual Friends of Marshall Square Park Summer Concert Series. That involves no borough services outside. There's no overtime needed for any of these concerts. Public Works is asked to bring in some extra trash and recycling bins during their normally scheduled hours, and then pick up the trash again during their normally scheduled hours. The Friends of Marshall Square Park do a good job of cleaning up after themselves during these events. Any questions in regards to number 2?
Not for me.
Number 3 is 4F is returning for their second year of running the annual chili cook-off. This event will take place in October. And the police department, Sergeant Malicki, have had 2 separate meetings with the folks from the Porch Fest. We believe we have everything lined up and in order again for this year. It is going to be running as far as geographically, pretty much the same layout as the restaurant festival. We believe that is following the lead of the restaurant festival that we've done for many, many years. It's a better way to do that. It will require some more staffing than in years past, but I believe we all have a safe plan in place to make sure that event runs successfully.
No questions.
A quick question. Last year, it was only on the west side of High Street. Is it
Correct.
excuse me, west side of Gay Street. Is it going to encompass the east side too?
Yes, sir. It will encompass Gay Street from Matlack to Darlington and all the side streets in between Chestnut and Market, similar to the restaurant festival.
Okay, so that's a big change. Thank you.
I'd just like to ask the question, have you guys talked about costs? I know that there have been other events in the past that have grown significantly year over year, and they were surprised by the increase in costs, and then they kind of came to us after the fact and things like that. So I just want to make sure that if this is expanding, the cost that the borough charges for support of this event, that everybody understands them up front and that there's no surprises, especially because we did realign our cost structure over the past however many months ago we did that.
Yes, those notes have been made. The applicants have been informed. Obviously, if the event expands, there will be expanded services from the borough that are needed. I do have the notes here from last year. The event in total cost $19,548. They were credited with roughly $3,500 that they took in parking revenues. So the total charge to the borough, or excuse me, the total charge from the borough was $16,058. They got a late start last year through the application process. So hopefully with this earlier approval, if so, they'll be able to work on that aspect on their own, but they have been notified of that.
We have a gentleman here from the Porch Fest.
That would be Derek.
Yeah, do you have any questions about that specifically, the funding?
I don't have any additional.
Secure a grant for it, so we have enough to cover it.
I just want to make sure you're not surprised if the costs go up, that you're not, that you understand that we changed our structure and it could be different, especially if you're getting bigger. So that's all I want to make sure that you guys are aware, because you are a nonprofit and you're doing this to, especially right now with all the food banks getting less and less support and all of the things, what you do is very important. So I don't want you to be overburdened with the cost of the event and things. So
We appreciate it.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I know that.
I
I know.
Chili
F-
Fest.
It's not 4F.
Chili
It's not
cook-off.
Porch Fest. It's Fiorenza's Food for Friends, F4.
Yeah.
Chili Fest.
The cook-off, yep.
Yes. Item 4, again, is the return of the Porch Fest for the 2025 edition. Again, there was some slight changes to the exact layout. We've had 2 separate meetings with the Porch Fest organizers. Again, same situation. They are fully aware of the overtime for both the Public Works Department and the Police Department. Not to mention there'll be some parking restrictions in that area for the event as well. They are in complete compliance with their application, and we see no problem with moving it forward.
Any questions or comments?
My question is this. I just want to make sure you represent Porch Fest. I just want to make sure that they are fully aware of total fees, because the last 2 years, they've seemed to be not aware or surprised, and I just want to make sure that's not a subsequent conversation after Porch Fest. Okay, because you might not have received an estimate, but I know the fees have been realigned both from Public Works and the police. So I just want to make sure it's not a continually conversation that we have after the event is over. Great.
Mr. Flynn?
Good evening, Ms. Dorsey and council. Greetings from the 6th Ward, the sweetest ward in the borough, where the hot dog festival is going to happen, the hot dog eating contest. Sitting there, reflected back to my grandkids. I think Jedders should make a donation to the ambulance firm and have them on staff there during the contest. In the event somebody has to use the Heimlich, because hot dogs get stuck. And if they're not dunking the bread in water and trying to wash them down, it could turn into a situation, and we wouldn't want to have a good Samaritan standing there trying to figure out how to do the Heimlich. But I think they should give a small donation to the ambulance crew to be there while they're doing the contest, just for safety. Thank you.
All right, I saw the gentleman raise his hand in the back.
Very good point. And public safety and the participant safety is always number one. To my knowledge, though, I believe we are going to be paying GFAC to have a EMT present for the event. Keith, can you speak to that?
The standby request was submitted to GFAC. I received confirmation of the request. I don't have knowledge from GFAC of their actual manpower on-site day of.
Happy to work that out in the future to, again, ensure safety at the event.
I am looking at the application, and it just does, good fellowship is checked off.
It is. Again, that's the confirmation that they've been in contact with GFAC and in negotiations with GFAC. Once we have the confirmation from GFAC that that's taken care of, that's our limit on that. We don't get into negotiations of what they have to be, though. That would be on GFAC.
Oh, we have a
We have-
GFAC here. Come on down, GFAC.
It's your lucky day.
Oh, I know they're there.
We did receive notification of the event. However, we received a notification only, which is like what the 5Ks do. It's just letting us know that it's in town. So that was not a request for service for the day. We can absolutely amend that. We can.
Presumably because he wanted to get it approved first at said this council meeting, I guess. So yeah, let us know. We'll work it out. I'll get you an email after this.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Item C, discuss the draft of the WCERT intergovernmental agreement and provide comment.
This is a home run. A home run I thought Sean was going to swing. This is real simple. I'll give you a brief, and I know you guys have all been on an email. The Westchester Borough Police Department is a member of the Westchester Regional Emergency Response Team. The Westchester Regional Emergency Response Team is made up of police departments from 7 member municipalities, as well as the Chester County Sheriff's Department and the Westchester University Department of Public Safety. Think of the WC Regional ERT as a SWAT team. And that's what you have. All the services that come with the SWAT team, you get at quite a bargain. The team has been in existence for over 20 years. This agreement is formalizing that existence. It came as a need that another member municipality saw, a need that they identified for financial purposes, for tracking the spending, the ins and outs when it comes to financials. Nothing is changing in the way the team will be operating, other than the fact that it will be codified. This has been reviewed by not only our solicitor, but the solicitor or solicitors from all the other 7 member municipalities. And the solicitors are giving the thumbs up here. My ask is that you give the thumbs up to council to engage in this cooperation agreement.
Sorry, Josh, Chief, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Josh. Josh was going to do such a better job of explaining what the emergency response team actually does. I was brought into this issue by West Whiteland Township, who had informally been responsible for managing, owning equipment that the SWAT program employed, and managing payments, grants receivables, payments to vendors for equipment used for those services. And their auditor told them it didn't look good on their books. In other words, that they had to create a special purpose fund and had to create an intergovernmental agreement to formalize the arrangement. And so it was just a good coincidence that one of the member municipalities, one of the new managers there, also has a lot of experience writing intergovernmental agreements. He used to work for Chester County. He used to be chief operating officer there. And so he stepped in and drafted this intergovernmental agreement, and has asked that the participants give comments back by the end of this month. So this isn't an action item yet, because the agreement could change form between the April 24th deadline that Bobby Cagle set up and us and the Borough Council ratifying the intergovernmental agreement. I expect that to be an action item in May. So really, this is a discussion to surface comments like the one you asked in your email, Nicole, and anyone else who had questions about the relationship, what they do, and to make sure that we get those incorporated into the agreement.
So that this helps, like, I mean, I was trying to understand, like, why after 20 years, what's the benefit? It sounds like West Whiteland was paying a bunch of money.
No, they weren't paying anything. It was a kerfuffle, quite frankly, that they had, that they were responsible for maintaining the books and the books alone. And then it, to use Sean's words, that it, quote, didn't look good. There was nothing that wasn't good about it. This is just codifying and setting up a formal process so that in 20 years, somebody else isn't in the same pile of mud.
So is it managed that, okay, so if they're managing the books, are you saying like that there's like a certain amount of money that everybody pays into this on the regular, and that's not going to change
Correct.
because it's codified? It's just that they're doing that because it looked like you guys were bribing West Whiteland or something for the auditor.
Other than the agreement being signed, nothing will change. Correct.
And being driven by the audit team that was in West, it was accountants who brought this up.
Those darn accountants.
Accountants and lawyers. Did I say that?
Any other questions? Any from? Okay. So we don't need to do anything with this tonight. It's not going to go into work session or consent next week. We'll revisit it in May. Thank you. Okay. The meeting is adjourned at 6:40.